The world of young Sheldon and its connection to The Big Bang Theory has always fascinated fans of both shows. While young Sheldon explores the early years of Sheldon Cooper, the brilliant but socially awkward scientist from The Big Bang Theory, it also showcases his family dynamics, relationships, and how he grew up in a Texas town. Through this lens, viewers have been introduced to Sheldon's family in much more detail, including his brother Georgie and his interactions with various family members, as well as his first marriage to Mandy. Interestingly, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, as portrayed in young Sheldon, is less stressful than Sheldon's life was in The Big Bang Theory, and the reason behind this shift is deeply rooted in the context of the two series. To understand why Georgie and Mandy's relationship is less stressful than Sheldon's, it's essential to look at the contrasting nature of these two characters' personalities, the family dynamics at play, and how the influence of the Big Bang Theory narrative affected the portrayal of these characters in young Sheldon. The characters: a study in contrasts. Sheldon Cooper, as we know from The Big Bang Theory, is an intellectual genius, but his immense intelligence often comes at the cost of social awkwardness. As a child prodigy, Sheldon faced countless challenges in understanding the nuances of human interaction, from sarcasm to empathy. His rigid worldview, extreme attention to detail, and highly structured life caused frequent misunderstandings and social isolation. In fact, much of the stress in The Big Bang Theory stems from Sheldon's inability to cope with change or adapt to the people around him. His relationship with his friends, especially his roommate Leonard, and his eventual marriage to Amy Farrah Fowler, were often tumultuous, not because of a lack of love or compatibility, but because Sheldon's idiosyncratic behavior placed immense strain on the relationship. Georgie Cooper, on the other hand, as portrayed in young Sheldon, presents a stark contrast. He may not have the same academic brilliance as Sheldon, but Georgie has a much more laid-back and easygoing personality. As a teenager, Georgie was more involved with social dynamics, sports, and relationships than his brother, and he was far less bogged down by intellectual constraints. In young Sheldon, Georgie is portrayed as a teenager trying to find his place in the world, dealing with typical adolescent problems, including dating and family issues. His eventual marriage to Mandy, which seems to be more spontaneous than calculated, represents a more relaxed and emotionally mature approach to relationships compared to Sheldon's neurotic approach to life and love. Mandy, Georgie's wife, also contrasts with Amy in many ways. While Amy in The Big Bang Theory is a highly intelligent and academically focused woman, Mandy seems more grounded in her own way. She doesn't have the same intellectual baggage as Amy and is more in tune with her emotions and relationships. Mandy's easygoing personality plays a big role in calming Georgie, creating a much less stressful dynamic in their marriage. The influence of family dynamics. Another reason for the relatively less stressful nature of Georgie and Mandy's marriage in young Sheldon lies in the difference in family dynamics. Sheldon grew up in a family that didn't quite understand him, especially in the case of his father, George Sr., whose rough and distant nature often led to tension. Sheldon's relationship with his mother, Mary, was also complicated. Although she loved Sheldon deeply, she often indulged his eccentricities, which led to even more challenges in Sheldon's life. On the other hand, Georgie's relationship with his family was much less complicated. While their father, George Sr., certainly had his flaws, the family's support for Georgie despite his teenage mistakes is evident in the series. Georgie's mother, Mary, although religious and overprotective at times, always had a soft spot for him, and the overall family unit was much more nurturing compared to Sheldon's often strained relationships. This sense of stability in Georgie's life provides him with a foundation that allows him to have a less stressful marriage. Moreover, Georgie's ability to communicate with his family and navigate challenges in a relatively normal, emotionally healthy way plays a significant role in his relationship with Mandy. In addition, young Sheldon explores Georgie's attempts to become more mature. When Georgie and Mandy's first marriage happens, Georgie is not as naive or clueless as Sheldon was at his age. In contrast to Sheldon, Georgie has the ability to adapt and learn from his mistakes. He is far from perfect, but his emotional maturity is one of the reasons why his marriage with Mandy has a less tense atmosphere than Sheldon's relationships. The Big Bang Theory influence. Fans of The Big Bang Theory will recall how Sheldon's behavior often made his relationships stressful. As Sheldon grew older and his relationships with friends and romantic partners evolved, the stress that came with his lack of emotional awareness and flexibility became more pronounced. His friendship with Leonard was frequently strained, and his relationship with Penny and Amy was often tested by his inability to understand social norms and relationships. In comparison, Georgie's first marriage in young Sheldon takes place in an environment where the narrative and tone are different. The Big Bang Theory set a precedent for how characters' intellectual and emotional struggles can lead to stressful situations in relationships. But by the time young Sheldon starts, there's a shift in the narrative that focuses on family dynamics and personal growth, rather than constant stress or awkwardness. Georgie, for example, experiences a more traditional storyline when it comes to love and marriage. He's not faced with the intellectual or social limitations that Sheldon is burdened with, and as a result, he's able to navigate the early challenges of adulthood more smoothly. His relationship with Mandy, though still young and unrefined, feels less tortured because it lacks the pressure of intellectual disconnect or unrealistic expectations. The simplicity of Georgie and Mandy's relationship, free from the constraints that defined Sheldon's relationships in The Big Bang Theory, shows how the natural progression of family life can lead to more stable and fulfilling partnerships. Conclusion: why Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is less stressful. Georgie and Mandy's marriage in young Sheldon is less stressful than Sheldon's life in The Big Bang Theory because of the different emotional landscapes the two characters inhabit. Georgie's easygoing nature, his emotional maturity, and the support system from his family provide a foundation for a less stressful relationship. In contrast, Sheldon's brilliance and social struggles, coupled with a more challenging family dynamic, led to stress in his personal life. Ultimately, the contrasting experiences of Georgie and Sheldon highlight how different personalities, family support, and life experiences can shape a person's approach to love and marriage. As a result, while The Big Bang Theory portrayed Sheldon's relationships as often tense and filled with challenges, young Sheldon presents Georgie and Mandy's marriage as a more relatable and less stressful journey of growth, making it a refreshing and more relaxed experience for both the characters and the audience.